I will read, I think because I'm feeling a little off today from having my second vaccine, um, I'm going to read some odd poems. And partly because it's National Fettuccine Alfredo Day. You can make of that what you like. And also because of the Super Bowl, because it is, I think, one of our most brutal of pastimes, of American pastimes. And so I'm going to start with a poem that's about brutality. And it is a theory of eyebrows. All right, I think I need say no more. It's in 7 very brief parts. A theory of eyebrows. With pipe bombs wedged in their baby's backpack, the wedded San Bernardino terrorists sped away from their targets, their black pupils dilating from an aftermath of vengeful murder, their eyebrows drooping parentheses to those hate-enveloped eyes, their retinas shattering into icy splinters as they were shot, their eyebrows beading with blood. 2. Adolf Hitler's eyebrows wouldn't accept the browbeatings by his father. Out he plucked them, hair by hair, each night, and planted them underneath his dresser's daily folded, ironed underwear. But Adolf's eyebrows grew back more massive and bristly than a wild boar's, became even more abhorrent to him, became iron weights, those eyebrows redolent of imminent death, the source of his profound shame. 3. A little known fact, a redhead, a brunette, a blonde, and, predictably, a black-haired rider, the 4 weary horsemen of the apocalypse used their scythes to shave off their bristling eyebrows, then waxed and sharpened them to use as secret weapons, ingenious and multicolored razors, needles, tiny ice picks, miniature daggers. 4. And don't forget the pale eyebrows of Petra Laszlo, that Hungarian broadcaster who tripped a Syrian man and his small boy, bedraggled refugees, as they fled to freedom. 2 weeks later, her adorable eyebrows turned into skin lice and chewed off half her face. 5. Of course, Kim Jong-il's black baronet hairstyle, hair shaved off the sides and back of his head, hair jelly rolled into a mini tsunami up on top, caused his eyebrows to contract to half their normal size. Thus, his doctors surgically removed his traumatized, truncated eyebrows, replacing them with a self-regenerating fungus that sadly stinks like raw sewage. 6. Joe Stalin's hirsute brows were powdered and powered by a genetic link to a Neanderthal tribe which practiced ritualized infanticide of male newborns with jade green eyes or ungainly noses. That was most offspring that fall, a terrible slaughter. Hence Stalin's penchant for brutality, mayhem, the starvation of millions, and his remarkably stalwart eyebrows. It's an open secret that after his death and embalming, Stalin's eyebrows detached themselves as he lay in state, then slid off his corpulent face and, like inchworms, moved down his trousers to his shrunken genitals. There, they set up shop, selling tiny squares of rotting flesh on the black market to bereft yet very grateful mourners. Today, those minute computer chips of cruelty, when dropped in a glass of water, detonate as powerfully as not so smart bombs. 7. Once a stately black unibrow, my own eyebrows separated in middle age, and now appear as mere shadows of their former self. No longer am I mistaken for an Anglo Frida Kahlo. No more taunts by my wisecracking daughters. My eyebrows turn grayer and grayer like mold on yogurt. Still, there's always a lesson to be had. Countering our moral turpitude, our eyebrows serve as our faces' stewards, twin sentries of truth, fine chaperones of our integrity. Don't try to fool them. Their power is divine. A pastoral. Dictator Idi Amin's 100-room wildlife lodge, scattered along Uganda's White Nile, is now a ruin, housing warthog families sheltering in its kitchens, as well as armored pangolins and porcupines who scout out mossy bedrooms and crumbling verandas. Occasionally, smirking jackals, leopards, and red-assed baboons prowl the vacant rooms, sniffing the scent of smaller game and doing a variegated dance of reclamation. Somehow they coexist harmoniously, these overlords of hunger, while the ghosts of 300,000 souls who Amin killed roam the savannah's rough lands like barren winds. How ephemeral our lives, how utterly reliant on blind luck or circumstance. I think if anything, these past 4 years, under the reign and terror of our former president, it's made my poetry so much more politically engaged than it ever was. And I've seen that in a lot of other people, because that is one of the great powers of poetry, is to help us resist tyranny and to speak out and to speak truth to power, I suppose. So I will read 2 more short poems and then a longer one. This one's called Lockdown, something with which we're all familiar, all too familiar. Lockdown. My mind is cobwebbed from too much stillness. My body's a low-slung dirigible grazing the rooftops of invisible cities. Too long, this warehouse of solitude, too wide, too laden with dire shadows. The ping of a dropped pin echoes with a sledgehammer's force. But a distant high meadow beckons, its bee-hobbled clover dipping in the breeze. Meet me there in spring, when the world restarts, there where deer ticks climb long blades of grass, poised to launch themselves onto our shins. There in Eve's forsaken paradise, ours again, and still glistening with minarets of dew. Post-Pleistocene blues. Cheetahs once wandered the jungles of Nebraska, alongside other megafauna like short-faced bears and the lumbering Colombian mammoths. Hundreds of these beasts waded into a vast lake in Southeast Dakota's savannas and drowned after being sucked into quicksand mud. Over millennia, they fused into a many-storied high-rise of fossilized skulls, rib cages, and tusks. Though time is a finite resource, some species squander it, like us. And I'm going to end with a poem that's an elegy for my father. Tomorrow would have been, February 8th would have been my father's 98th birthday. And he was a profound influence on my life in many, many ways. He was a composer and a musician, ethnomusicologist, and a difficult man, to say the least. This is a poem that appeared very recently in the Hudson Review. And it's a poem also that is part of a suite of poems I wrote and have been writing over the last few years that are meditations on different punctuation marks. So I've written odes to question marks and exclamation marks and commas and periods and hyphens and dashes. And this one is about magic bullets, you know, those little dots on the left side of a document that set off different points. And it's called Magic Bullets, a Meditation on Loss. Like a slow bullet, an errant clot of blood stopped a vessel's flow to your brain, Father, and you became a distant village on an icy winter's night. It's your familiar thoughts I miss, what fled before I could say farewell. Your mind, once my native land, now seems an abandoned plain. Father, Father, here is my short list of sorrows, the incense trail my pliant memory draws forth, while your mind shuffles its scumbled dreams. In Fontainebleau, 50 years ago, I followed you into a tall forest to cut down a pine for the solstice. I asked, is the tree's sap its tears? You wept later, our car having struck a doe. I'd never seen tears stream down your face, nor your shame and utter speechlessness. We all feared your anger, your acerbic tongue. It was the adder kept secreted in your voice box, its poison sudden, deadly. Where has it gone? But music, music, first and last, its beauty empowering you for 80 years. You, Father, our maestro, tempo tyrant, joy's conductor. Those glorious years in Hermosa Beach, where the ocean's choirs enlivened us as our families strolled along the shore, you singing along in your perfect alto solo. We grow old, we grow old, we shall wear the bottoms of our trousers rolled. Your dark complexity baffling, your moods an archipelago across which isles I'd hop, skip, and jump, so terrified of drowning. Your winds and currents still a mystery, your remote terrains, your unspoken griefs. Were 30 years of adultery an antidote? How can a brilliant mind take a sabbatical? Your university lectures made my heart race around in circles with pride when I was 20, for somehow you translated Bach, Brahms, jazz, and ragas into great monuments of sound, though later you said you'd felt stripped naked, deficient. Haunted your face now, Father, though chiseled, handsome, with your aquiline nose, your bright sapphire eyes. Your mouth is mine, nearly lipless, ever hungry. Astonishing a father's strangeness to his daughter. Twice in a blue moon, you'd fired a gun, and each time its blast had jolted you back into the world, as if the war, the army, and your fear of dying awoke in you both the fragility and the ferocity of consciousness. Bullets are emblems both for war and healing, but I prefer them as glyphs drawn on the page, as leaves, buds, chevrons, or diamonds. I want your mind back as it was, Father, shining. Thank you.